So, in spirituality, there is this idea that you can just know enlightenment. It's basically very popular amongst Vedanta. And from my experience, I feel that this idea is very wrong. Do the experiment now. See if any idea of what enlightenment is actually going to satisfy you. And you can think about whether a simple or a more complex mental answer, a thought, a construct, a concept will change that, or whether one of those is better than the other, whether you first have to really study spirituality and enlightenment and get to know all the intricate details of what it is, and just think about whether that's going to deliver. And when I realized that this is never the case, it was an event where I remember I could before understand that thoughts are just thoughts, but still they seemed like very in the front of experience. They seemed to be very much where I reside. They seem to originate from me. They seem to be so intimate that they must be me. And even though in meditation for a long time I already knew that they were just arising and I couldn't really concentrate, couldn't really control them, they still felt, when I was kind of contemplating and actively thinking about stuff, it still felt like they were coming from me. But the longer you practice insight meditation, there comes this point where the thoughts, and this includes then every thought, even the reflective thoughts, even the spiritual thoughts, they move kind of out into the world. They become part of that which arises. And when that happens, it deeply, deeply sinks in that no matter what you think, it can never be the answer. And here is really when you realize that where real self-inquiry can start. And the way to awaken is to stay with one question and not to rest on any verbal answer and on any thought. So when you ask and inquire, for example, with the question, what am I? Then you just remain in that kind of open awareness where you are not focused on a particular thing, and it's really, you just look what comes up. You observe reality, and you are not settling for any answer. You recognize every thought as thought. And there may even come very sneaky thoughts that really you may have heard, and they are so sneaky because they might tell you, oh wow, there really is no answer. Thoughts cannot tell you the answer. And then it's kind of like this thought slips under the radar and maybe even kind of be recognized as a thought, but still it ends the inquiry. It's like, oh yeah, there's no answer, so back to getting lost in whatever. So over and over asking this question, who am I? Or what am I? Is really going to open you up again and again and again to stay with this emptiness, with this openness, with no particular thing. And then you can realize that reality is absolutely free. It's moving, it's falling, and you can kind of sync up to reality, to really get closer and closer to it. It's like at first you may concentrate on a particular thing, but then it continuously opens up, and this question, what am I, reveals the whole spectrum of what it is that reality is doing, from the center to the width of your experience through all the senses. They all get incorporated over time, and just stick with it. Don't settle for any answer. That's the whole trick. You just have to be persistent, and there will come this point where you're doing it so often, so long, that the process is driving itself. You recognize once the thoughts have moved out into the world, they are no longer being done by anyone. Then it's obvious that this awakening is happening on its own. Reality is waking up to itself. And that's where you just continue to let go and let go and let go over and over again, going back to this openness with the question, who am I? And then everything can come up in that space, and you just give it the space to arise, and you see whether that's the answer. Any difficult emotion, any thought, any experience, any sensation, they are all burned up in that question, what am I? And seen to be not the answer. And then maybe you can take this process all the way. And you can, it's possible. So that's my little self-inquiry input for today. See you next time.